Hello, hello. This is the 108th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 22-23, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And in this episode, before we speak about the thing we are going to
the
speak
thing
about.
that everyone can see as the title.
Yes.
Before we speak about that.
Yeah, but we're not going to mention it. If you haven't read the title yet, you're in for a surprise.
Exactly. Keep a bit of suspense.
A few episodes ago, we had a big party to celebrate.
8 episodes. So episode 100.
Yeah.
8 episodes ago, yeah.
It must be 8 episodes ago, yeah. Unless we messed up some sort of...
No. So we had a big party. We had a couple of bands play.
Yes.
Foo Fighters and Prince. And we didn't mention at the time, but they are part of a larger supergroup, or a lineup of bands called the Dead Ones.
Yeah.
And the news today is not about those two bands, but about the third one, not band, I guess. But anyway, Beethoven has been
voted off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no longer part of the Dead Ones.
Exactly. It's basically they tour every year. They have festivals and big shows. They're being broadcasted. You can visit them and so on, all around the world. But every year, we, the public, get to vote off one.
Yep. One member or one band.
Yeah, exactly. So one or two, depending on the year, and then you can vote on one or two. So there is always a bunch of candidates, always artists from a little bit longer ago. And yesterday was the big reveal of the results this year, and Beethoven got voted off after 1 year.
Yeah, it's pretty short stint. Usually bands are part of the Dead Ones for longer.
And sometimes for a very long time. Yeah. I don't remember Prince not being in it.
Right, no, it's been there a long time.
But yeah, Beethoven, I think everybody expected a lot from him. Don't know, music was, let's say not fitting with the target audience.
Right.
So the Dead Ones didn't really match.
And everyone knew some bits of music that he'd composed, and they liked those bits well enough, but he didn't have basically a large enough catalogue.
And what's really interesting, the artist voted on. I had never heard of this.
Okay, you hadn't heard of David Bowie.
David Bowie didn't ring a bell at all.
Yeah. I know his name, but I couldn't actually tell you, before. Now I've heard a bunch of his music earlier today, but before that I couldn't have told you, the name of a song,
You know, what's interesting, one of the bands that's in the Dead Ones, Queen, apparently, at least that's what the press statement said, that the original David Bowie had a duet with the original Freddie Mercury, the singer of Queen.
Yeah, that's nice. So presumably they'll be able to reenact those performances.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Or perform together again, not reenact, but perform together again.
I didn't actually participate in the vote. I actually didn't give it that much attention.
No. Not everyone. It's not mandatory. Yeah, not everyone has to vote. Just if you want to.
I did vote sometime in the past. Now it comes up. It's not a whole lot of effort. But because of two of the bands were at our party, I was suddenly a little bit more invested in what's going to come out. Yeah. So maybe next year we'll manage to get David Bowie at our party.
Maybe.
Yeah, or maybe he's voted off again. If it's like Beethoven.
But that would be. Are you saying next year? So for our 152nd episode, you mean? Or?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Well, but because by that time he should still be in because.
I was going to say, if it's so long as it's within, so 152 would still be less than a year from now, so would still be in there.
True. Okay. Anyway, there was some news for the segment.
Yep.
News.
Correct. And now on to our main topic for the week.
And it's about cleaning.
Yeah, very important stuff.
We thought this was going to be a very exciting topic.
So for me, it's important, and I was reading some article a couple of days ago that kind of. So it shocked me a little. Someone was just describing, how their home was. In the context of they were having their parents-in-law over to visit soon. So basically, they were describing how their place. Hey, it's totally normal. Everyone has piles of pizza boxes and old socks and dishes and cups in the sink with mold on them. I was like, no, I don't. But okay, maybe enough people do that for them that's totally normal. For myself, I like it a bit cleaner. So cleaning is important.
But this was in our time, like 2013.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay.
So it's up to you. Yeah, your own home, do what you like in it. But for myself, I found that disturbing a little bit.
I can imagine. I also clean the house completely myself by hand.
Right. I use a broom.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
I don't just use it, but I see what you mean. The broom itself is not mechanical in any way. Yeah. At least mine's not yet.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we thought it was interesting to point out.
Yeah. That we're not using so many things in our lives. We use all kinds of fancy technology for, and for cleaning our own homes, we do not.
Yeah, and then I understood that this might feel like a step back. For the people in the 21st century, because that's when they first started to explore technology.
That's when they started having even robots that cleaned their houses, really, which now seems super bizarre. Yeah, but back then, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
And I can imagine that we speak a lot about technology because our lives are kind of dominated and influenced and enhanced by technology. And I think this is one of the very few facets, maybe besides walking, that doesn't actually have any technology whatsoever involved. And with something like walking, it's like...
Walking does involve shoes, which are a form of technology. Okay, but that's stretching. When we say technology, we mean, electronics and screens and touching and biotech and stuff like that. We don't just mean, shoes for walking or a broom for sweeping the floor.
And also, like, I sometimes walk bare feet.
Of course.
Depends on where I go.
Right, when the weather's nice.
But I think because that kind of like, the whole thing is like, when you're walking, if you want to use technology, you would not be walking, you would be taking a car or a hoverbike or whatever.
Right. As a means of, meaning if you're using technology as the means of transportation.
Yeah, or like you teleport somewhere. Like if you go walking, you do it for the walking, and that's essentially the
purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And the not technology part is inherited.
Okay, yeah, that's different from cleaning, where the purpose or the goal is to have a clean home.
Yeah.
I can say in that. So that is the purpose, to have a clean home. And I do enjoy the process of cleaning. True. So for me, also, that's part of it.
And also, I think, in a sense, the reason why we clean our apartments or houses or anything is actually because of technology. We clean them without technology. If you could, does it make sense if I say it like that?
I didn't quite follow. How do you mean?
Because we've advanced so much.
Nearly all other regards.
Exactly. And then theoretically or like practically, it would actually be possible to have everything done by machines. Right. But exactly because that would be possible, we don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense.
No, I follow. It's at least for myself. Like I say, I enjoy cleaning itself. Yeah. Would be different if I had a home with 100 rooms. Okay, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it then because I wouldn't have time for anything else. Or even, not just that I wouldn't have time for anything else, it wouldn't actually be possible for me to keep it all clean, yeah? But okay, with a much smaller apartment than that, I enjoy cleaning it and it's totally doable and it doesn't eat up all my time. Yeah. And I mean, part of it also is it's not like I'm holding myself to some external standard of how clean should it be. Yeah, I'm cleaning it how I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And however you feel like it at the moment.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to point out we had an episode about robots, and there we explained all about the Robot Independence Act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for the listeners, that either may be a very long time ago or maybe didn't listen to it yet. I thought maybe to point out, since a while, robots are considered sentient beings, which means that before we had robots cleaning our house, or machines, let's put it that way. And robots,
things we called robots, or humans called robots.
Exactly. And then since robots actually became sentient, all those little non-sentient machines, initially they kept cleaning our houses and doing all kinds of stuff for us. And officially the robots don't mind them doing this, but they still consider them, let's say, distant relatives.
Yeah, it feels creepy for them to see, they're distant relatives, mindlessly going around cleaning our homes.
Exactly, and although of course they're not sentient, they don't have feelings or thoughts or whatever. Otherwise, they would be sentient and not be cleaning houses. It's not considered an honorable job. Like a whole bunch of things that the machines do in our lives, they don't mind because it's an honorable job. But cleaning isn't one of them. I think that's the whole point. And like officially they don't mind, but it's being frowned upon more and more, also by humans. And I think that's kind of the reason.
It would feel very strange for me to have a machine cleaning my home.
Exactly, like it feels a bit condescending. It's like, oh well, let's let the non-sentient machine do it. And you feel when this is the case and robots visit you, or humans are, let's say, are a bit more enlightened, if you want to call it that. It's not mentioned, but it's kind of, the little machine is the elephant in the room. And I think that's in a way how we have evolved. Even though if it's not with technology, it's with the way we think about things.
In terms of like the type of jobs that people are comfortable doing, you mean? Or?
But also the way we treat our machines.
Sure.
It's like instead of just seeing them as something that does something for us, we think about them more and more conscious about it.
Yeah.
And I think at least I speak for both of us. I would say we're pretty nice guys, and
I try to be, yes.
And of course, we have a 3-day work week. You're even on a sabbatical,
right?
We kind of have the time,
And like I was saying, our places are not so large. If you had a place with 100 rooms, you would need much more time or help, assistance of some kind to keep it all clean. But with having enough time in our work weeks, having a small enough place to clean, it seems unnecessary to have a robot or a machine assisting with the cleaning.
And it's also like the more our room is used, the more it needs to be cleaned.
Sure. Yeah.
And for example, I don't use the parlor so often, so I don't need to clean it so often.
That makes sense. So
you have something that you clean, or have like a cleaning habit, or like?
I mean, I have a whole routine, so certain things I clean every day, certain things once a week, once a month, every half year, and so on. Just a couple of days ago, I clean my kitchen every day, of course, but once a year I do a deep clean.
Okay.
Polish all the cabinets, like the fronts, the glossy fronts of the cabinets, but then also all the sides, all the undersides, around the edges of all the doors, and then on top of everything, where it's, a year's worth of dust is up there, So it's really satisfying to collect all that up. And then right now, if you get on the ladder and look up there, all clean.
Nice.
So that's a yearly thing, And daily is, cleaning the kitchen, of course. Weekly is cleaning the bathroom as well. Stuff like that. So after each shower, I clean the bathtub itself. Things like that.
I want to know which chrome polish you use, because because of my house and the inside is completely chrome.
Yeah, sure. And I don't have the whole place, but like the bathroom, the taps and things like, and in the kitchen, the tap there is also chromed.
Because if it's nice and shiny if your whole inside is chrome, except for the windows, of course. But then you really see fingerprints.
True.
And especially with the rounded corners, like sometimes you stumble, and then because it's rounded and near the walls.
You reach out with your hand to steady yourself, and then you've got a whole bunch of fingerprints, 5 fingerprints from each hand.
And that's really noticeable, especially if you support you with your hands, it's really in eye height, so you really notice it.
I use a microfiber cloth.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds very futuristic.
I think they've been around a while, but it sounds futuristic.
Microfiber
sounds pretty cool. But it just is really good for picking up those fingerprints, taking them off glossy surfaces. That's the downside now, that I've just made my kitchen all nice and fingerprint free. Certain areas you touch more than others. Switching on certain switches, on the turning dials or whatever. And right now there are no fingerprints on them. But I do use some of them. So right now, because it's just been a couple of days, I'm going around afterwards with a microfiber cloth, no less, going chicka chicka chicka. That will fade. A few days from now, I won't be doing that anymore. But at least just for the first few days, it's like, I want to keep it so nice and clean.
I sometimes have these ridiculous tricks. It's like what
using like your sleeve.
Similar. It's like especially. Eating or having the Congo prepare food, of course, the Congo itself, that when it initially produces the food, you just press a button, poof, the food is there. It doesn't make any...
There's no mess from
exactly, but
chopping.
The actual eating, this causes stains, on the table or on the floor or whatever. It depends on what the food is. So what I do is I actually produce a tiny bit of food, then minify myself, eat the food, and then make myself my normal size again.
You shrink yourself down to eat the small amount of food. And
exactly. And then I make myself big again, and then I have like a tiny bit of mess. And then I get
way smaller.
It really, so that's, I mean,
that's using, you're not using the technology to clean up, like not having a robot going around for you, but using technology to make it that there is way less stuff to clean up.
I initially started minifying myself, like to get under the cupboards. It's really hard to get to the dust.
To the places to clean.
Exactly, and then if you're the size of the dust, you can basically push the dust in front of you. Just roll a big dust ball and roll it out of under the cupboard.
Yeah,
and then you can size, and then you can pick it up and put it in the bin. But then I started thinking about this, and then I came up with the whole food consumption idea.
It's a good, for food stuff. That's really good, and for dust is a good point. I've chosen the furniture I have around here that there's less opportunity for dust. Basically, like certain furniture goes straight down to the floor, doesn't have like a space underneath it, or the ones that do have spaces underneath them, they're not so. I don't need to shrink myself down to get under them. I can just get them under them easily with my broom.
Clever
stuff like that.
You have any of these tricks where you say
actually using technology? Yeah. We did mention this many episodes ago, I think. Thing with the zero gravity.
Yeah. You explained how you do that.
I mean, so when I'm using zero gravity anyway, okay, then I may as well use it because it's really fun to get all the things that were on the floor and get them to collect in the center of the room, floating, not on the floor, but floating in the middle of the room. You get then this nice condensed ball of all the stuff that needed to be...
Cool, you're really making that, like, I see you moving your hands around. It looks really visual.
Very visual, perfect for an audio podcast. But folk who are listening can imagine, all the crumbs or dust or dirt or whatever on the floor. Floating up into the center of the room and forming, it looks pretty cool. It looks like a solar system at the start, with bits orbiting each other, but then all compressing down into one solid ball and get it really dense. You can have it basically hold it in the palm of your hand. It's pretty heavy, but then you have a dense ball of everything. You just throw it in the bin. But okay, I do not use that method every day. Usually I use a broom.
Something that I've done a few times, which is not the proper way, is I basically swipe all the dust together, and then I have the teleporter standing in the corner of the room. I basically use the teleporter as a gathering.
So you sweep all the stuff into the teleporter.
Exactly.
And then teleport it away.
And then teleport it somewhere. I just basically...
like random?
Random. I just put my fingers on the touchpad, and then send, and then whatever. But I have to say that wasn't my idea because it happened to me. At one point, I was in the room and I heard the teleporter sound. There was something coming. I didn't order anything or didn't expect any visitors, but whatever. I let it in and poof, there was a bunch of dust coming out.
Okay.
And I was like, who does that?
Sure.
And I was speaking to Napoleon about it, and he was saying that's a common thing. People just randomly teleport their dust somewhere.
As far as Mozart was concerned, that's just understood.
But you just have to scramble your origins because otherwise they send it straight back to you, depending on where you go to. But if you teleport it to like an outside teleporter at a windy destination,
it will scatter in the wind.
Exactly, it will just and that's kind of the trick. I still scramble my origins, but I usually teleport it down into Ireland or somewhere where there's a bunch of wind. But it's so I still think that's still modern technology using for cleaning. Although
it is. It's I think some folk might imagine. So why do that? Why sweep it into the teleporter? Why not simply have your teleporter, teleport everything away? Rather than you needing to collect it with a broom, just detect it, I guess, in some way. Okay, but that's not practical. How is it going to detect everything everywhere in your whole apartment? How's it going to differentiate? This is stuff I should teleport away. This is stuff you want to keep.
Exactly.
That's getting way too complicated.
Yeah, even for a teleporter. I've used a dirt gun a few times, but it's the idea is really nice, right? It's basically you point it at dust, and it basically kind of beams it into the gun. But it's really hard to aim right. You have to be really careful to not suck up anything that shouldn't be going in there.
Yeah.
Some stuff is too heavy, some stuff is too light, so it doesn't really properly get in. And then after 3-4 times, it's full. And then what to do with the dust in the dust gun? And then
it doesn't empty itself automatically. You need to take it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing where, okay, this sounds like a really cool invention. It's a bit of a hype. You have advertisements for everywhere. Everybody gets one before the first reviews are coming in, and they say, does it really work? I'm sure like half of the people have a dust gun laying around at home, but I don't know anybody.
I mean, I'm imagining a setup where you have the dust gun, like you say, but instead of it being a handheld like pistol, that maybe it's like more like a bazooka. So it's way more capacity, and then maybe a big pipe coming out the back of it that goes into some kind of large container where it can, so it teleports the stuff into that container. So at the very least, you could carry much more. You could collect much more in one go.
And you put the container on wheels, you can kind of drag it behind you.
Yeah, that's a good idea, rather than it just being stuck in one spot.
And then you can also roll it somewhere and empty it.
Yeah,
that sounds actually a really good idea.
Yeah, and maybe even the hose that it's taking to food, that could be like the elephant's trunk. So then the thing could be painted or decorated as if it was an elephant.
Ah, nice. And if you want to suck up something that is really close, you can maybe like take off the hose and then put it really close and then put the big hose on it again for when you want to get something really far away.
I see what you mean, like using a shorter hose.
Yeah. Okay, sounds like a good idea.
Right, these are ideas we're coming up with, but as far as I know, you cannot buy dust guns like that at the moment.
We should patent these ideas.
Maybe suggest them on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. But for the bigger stuff, I use the particle accelerator.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of
the overkill.
It's let's just say I officially have it for other stuff.
I see.
And I don't want my robot friends finding out that I'm also using it to clean the house because it's kind of a gray zone, I would say.
I see. Yeah.
It's like with the teleporter, that's definitely not meant for dusting. But the way I'm using it, I think it's kind of fine. The way I'm using the particle accelerators,
it's not so fine.
No, I guess not.
Okay, well then I shan't tell anyone about that.
Yeah. I think we mentioned, like, we keep on speaking about machines and so on. We clean our houses. Did you notice the trend that...
So this is something I've considered for myself actually some time ago, but then I never really did anything with the idea. And right now people are doing stuff, like, not because it was my idea, but other people have come to the same idea and are now following through on it, which is basically, sometimes I really enjoy cleaning my place. Yeah. And the idea I had before was, you know what? How about this could be a job? Like,
totally.
Not like a full-time job maybe, but a part-time job. Because my place is pretty clean. How about I had somewhere else that was a bit more dirty? There'd be a bit more satisfaction to getting it so clean. My place is like, for example, the kitchen, I know it's polished, but actually objectively you look at it, no one could tell the difference. So, but anyway, so some folk are doing it as a part-time job where they, go and clean other people's houses. Yeah. And no one looks down on that because everyone's like, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah,
exactly. And especially like, because so far it's always been such a debated topic, such a hot topic. And it's like, no, we're actually doing it ourselves, not just for our own stuff, but also for other people's stuff. And
humans are better suited to it than robots. Yeah. Robots, they can clean, but they can do way more stuff, other things much better, basically. Especially better than humans can do them. But cleaning, actually humans have the edge.
Yeah, I think so too. And also it's a bit of a, let's say, waste of a robot to have it clean. Even the waste of a really good machine to have it used for cleaning. But humans...
It's really sad. I listen to audiobooks while I clean, so it's like I'm listening to something and I'm getting the satisfaction of cleaning stuff.
Multitasking. Yeah. I also like the trend. And it's also... you see it more and more, and people are really proud of it as well. So, and which I understand.
Yeah. I listen to audiobooks. Do you listen to anything while you are cleaning up?
I usually try to clean in parallel with, for example, family members like my sister, for example.
Okay, not by yourself. But,
exactly, but I mean...
wait, parallel, like she's cleaning her place?
Exactly.
Okay. And you're talking at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. We just have
like
our cams matched. Yeah. So she's in her house, I'm in my place, and the cams are following us around. So we don't even have to basically be cleaning like the bathroom at the same time, but because the cams around us, like the displays are showing the other person. So we're chatting while we're all cleaning, we're all both cleaning our apartments at the same time. And sometimes we play music, for example, that we're both listening to it at the same time. So, yep.
That reminds me of another idea I had some time ago that I never followed through on. Are you aware of cleaning buddies? But basically, I like cleaning my place. You like cleaning your place. And usually we do it, like, not just you and I mean, but people do it separately. But in principle, partly that idea of like enjoying cleaning, yeah? Basically you go around to your friend's house, and then the two of you clean their place. And then, then you both come at the same day, but, at some other point, you both were at your place, cleaning your place together. Basically that you have like you're doing with your sister where you get to talk with her, but except, you could actually be in the same place at the same time. I'm not aware of anyone else who does this, but I think it could be a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, especially, of course, then it's half the work.
That isn't my reason for doing it. My reason is just more that you have someone to speak. So like I say, I usually listen to audiobooks. That's why it hadn't really come up, because usually I use that time to listen to them. But at other points, maybe it would be nice to have a conversation. And that could be a way to do it. Also, so it would make sense to do it with someone else who, not that person who wrote that article I was reading, who, somehow has all this pizza boxes and moldy dishes and stuff. Okay, they probably aren't so much into the cleaning. But if you have a friend who really likes cleaning as well, the two of you could combine forces.
I know of these, let's say, cleaning sessions with a bunch of people. So it's what me and my sister are doing, but then a whole bunch of people are having basically are cleaning their place at the same time.
Also remote, everyone's cleaning their own place, yeah.
Also remotely, and then you have like all the cams and all the screens matched. So you basically...
I mean, if people are doing that, and especially if they live in, we mentioned this many episodes ago, some folk live in places which are like, the layout's identical.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, and there could be then an overlay where you're all cleaning the same area with the same, maybe that gets weird. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like the layout's the same, so you're walking around effectively the same place together, but of course each person cleaning up whatever is actually in their place.
Yeah, this could also work. But I know where you just log into one of these networks, and then you basically have your wall being a massive split screen where you see many people cleaning at the same time. At one point, if somebody's done cleaning and they say, hey, bye, and then they leave, but like the slot gets filled up, but you have different... I mean, it has a maximum, otherwise you can't see anybody anymore.
Sure,
but it's actually pretty cool. You get to meet random strangers that are at the same time also cleaning their house. And you can basically go, hey, which technology are you using? Or, hey, that's a good tip. Or, hey, I see you're cleaning your bathroom. Did you think about blah, blah, blah? It also makes it a much more social thing.
Definitely.
No, that's what I like. Because cleaning is a very social thing.
Yeah, and satisfying. Totally. When you do it like you, definitely.
Yeah. When we were thinking about this topic, I thought, maybe we can clean something live on the show.
I did have that idea,
but your place is so clean.
I forgot. So I forgot that was the idea, and I cleaned my kitchen the other day, and now also everything else is up to date. Like I say, I have this routine. The way to do that would have been to plan ahead. I would have left something not cleaned. It would have felt very strange for me, but then we would have had something.
Or we can have your Congo print some spaghetti bolognese and throw it against the wall.
You can do that at your place. That sounds like a very nice idea.
Okay. Then how about we skip the live cleaning?
Yeah.
Okay. I think one thing that we didn't mention yet is the dust song. At least that's what me and my sister.
And you sing it while you're working.
Sing it is hard because I
sing along to it, or
it's easier when you hear it. So it goes a little bit like this. Where does the dust go? And then Benga-bonga-wengalaweng.
Okay.
So see,
there's musical instruments involved.
Well, it's a person making weird noises.
Okay.
Where does the dust go? Okay, so I'm not a good singer. It works better if my sister and I are playing it over the speakers.
I see.
Yeah. I hope that came over on the audio.
It was an audio thing, so it most definitely will have.
Yeah, that's all I had on cleaning.
Yeah, me too.
Shall we skip to the listener question?
Let's jump directly there.
And we turn it around a bit.
Yeah, we instead of us answering a question from someone 200 years ago, we have a question for those people 200 years ago. What is the question? Well, that's not... So, yeah, a request more.
Yes, a quest. That's a nice...
A quest or a request is what I said.
A request.
It's not much of a quest.
But the quest sounds cool.
It sounds way cooler. Folk listening to us in the past, your quest is to choose some things you want us to find out for you from Alapedia. Alapedia, is the thing we use to find out everything. It knows everything. Yeah. So we figured, hey, you can ask us things that you'd like to know.
Yeah, and want us to look up.
Yeah.
It's like a massive encyclopedia that knows everything about everything that ever happened. So you can ask us anything, even if we don't know, we'll just look it up. You can say, who was the president of Zimbabwe in 2233 or so, and we can look it up.
That's in our future. That would be trickier.
2233. Yeah. Okay.
We're in 2223 now.
That's true.
30. That's 10 years from now. That would be trickier.
We have to limit it.
Yeah, it does need to be within our up to our present.
It needs to needs to have happened already. Yeah, that's kind of the limit. Yeah. Otherwise, even Alapedia doesn't know.
Not yet.
Yeah. 2133. That will work.
That will work out. That will make much more sense.
Exactly. So, and then in a future episode, we'll just have one episode where we'll answer all of your questions. We will have.
We're assuming we'll get many.
Everything.
Which you, our listeners, will of course provide us, and exactly will. Either many, or we'll just go into great detail. Yeah?
Yes, exactly. If you ask
one or two that we get.
If you just ask about the president of Zimbabwe in 2133, we'll tell you about his shoe size and about his favorite donkey
early
names.
life, filmography.
Exactly, where he ate his breakfast and if he had milk in his coffee or not. Okay.
I think that's it for now.
That's it.
Folk listening to us in the past, we just mentioned that you could write to us and ask us what things you would like to know from Alapedia. And the way you do that is you send us an email at michaellasagna5@gmail.com, and you put in the subject line the number 108, so we know that you're responding to this episode and that this episode successfully went back in time.
Totally. All right, then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.